Hey everybody, so there's this feature in Elements that I think either a lot of you have forgotten about or perhaps not even realized is there, and that's custom components. It lets you take pretty much any Tailwind component you find online and drop it straight into your Elements project. Super handy and way easier than you might have thought. Today I'll show you exactly how that works and why I think it's one of the hidden gems in Elements. Okay, so I'm working on a fitness project here in Elements, and what I want to do is integrate a few custom components that I found online. So if I hop over to Safari, and what I've got here is I've got a couple of examples of component libraries that are available. Now, there are so many component libraries for Tailwind out there. There's paid for libraries, there's free libraries, there's open source stuff. There's so many code examples. It's almost overwhelming, but it is amazing for us using Elements because we can directly copy that Tailwind code straight into our Elements project. So a couple of examples before we get going. There's the Tailwind Plus library. This is from the guys at Tailwind, so it's kind of the official Tailwind UI library, so to speak. They've got marketing stuff, e-commerce, app UIs. This is a paid-for product. I have paid for it, and if you are doing client work, you are definitely going to be interested in this. There is so much stuff in here that you can just copy and paste into Elements. If we have a couple of examples here, they've just got these pre-built components. There's like CTA sections. You get all of the code for it. You can just copy and paste this straight into Elements. So many examples of stuff that you would want, especially on a client site. We're not going to use Tailwind Plus for this example because I want you to be able to follow along, and if you haven't got a license, that's going to be tricky. So there's also Meraki UI. Now, this is just one that I found. It's Tailwind CSS components. As I say, there are so many other free Tailwind component libraries out there. Just have a search around and find one that you like the look of. Once you've done that, they'll have some sort of browse components area, and you'll get a list of all the stuff that you can use. So we are going to have a look at some of the marketing components they've done, and specifically the CTA, the call to action ones. Now, as you can see, it's very similar to the Tailwind Plus paid for sections, but these are kind of open source and available to anyone. So what I thought it'd be a good idea is just show you how could we get something like this into our Elements project. So we'll start with this one and we'll see how we go for time and see if we build up anything more complex. We'll see how we go. Anyway. Let's say we like the look of this CTA, this kind of split design with the image and text here. All we need to do is find the code for this. So in here, there's usually like a show code, or the code will be displayed down below. Either way, find the code for it, and they'll usually have a copy code button as well. So we can just copy that. Let's go back to preview. So we're going to copy this into Elements. So I've copied the code, go back to Elements. What I need to do is go to my Components tab. You can see there's a custom section here. Now this project already has a custom Google map in here, and this is the fitness project that you can download for free from the marketplace. But what we need to do is click the plus button here next to custom and choose HTML. We'll then get a new custom component added, and what we can do is drop that in somewhere onto our page. So I'm just going to make this slightly wider, so we've got a bit more room to work with. And what I think it might work is if we perhaps replace this area. So let's drop that in below there. Now you see by default, we just get a very standard my HTML element up there. Now we need the editor for this. So if you can't see it, if it's not available to you by default, usually you can just open this inspector and you'll have the custom code panel down here. Now, you can place this anywhere you like. Have a look at the other videos for how you can move the paneling around. But this is the template editor for my custom component. I can just paste in the code there that we copied, and you can see instantly that component is straight inside of our Elements project. Ready to use. We can preview this page. everything is just going to work. You can see we've got the existing components that we've built up in Elements, and we've also got that custom component where we've just pasted in the code. Okay, so how do we edit this? Well, the easiest way to do that is we can just literally edit the text straight in here. So yeah, let's just say start using, we'll call this Elements. So something like this. Now, obviously, this is hard-coded. I'm going to show you how to make this more dynamic in just a minute, but if you're familiar with Tailwind, this will be very comfortable for you. All this is Tailwind class names being used on standard HTML elements. So we can go in and actually customize any of these class names, and everything will just update automatically. So for example, if we didn't want the rounded corners here, all we need to do is find where are those rounded corners being applied, and we can just remove those. So let's have a look, see if I can find it here. Rounded XL, I think that looks like the one being applied. Yeah, so you can see that gets removed there. If I undo that, that is getting applied. So like I say, it's very easy. You can just come in here, you can remove all of the class names, add additional class names, and completely customize it however you like. However, if you're not comfortable with editing Tailwind class names, that's not a problem. We can make things like this dynamic. So we can see here, like this is using a text blue 500, really, and it's also hard coded. Really what we want to be able to do is live type in here in the same way that we could say like start using Elements up here. We can highlight this text, we can set a color like this. So very similar. What we want to do is make this editable like this. Okay, so the way to do that is we can use an Elements text directive, and we can give that an ID. So we'll just call this heading. Now this ID is unique for this component, so you don't need to come up with something unique for your entire project. And what we can also do is set a default. So we can say default is start using Elements, like so. And you'll see that that's get added there. So we can now remove this hard-coded text. And the magic is that we can now edit this text in the same way that we were before. So we might want this to be uppercase, start using Elements, and we might want to say today. We can highlight this text, remove the color, like so. So that is it's as easy as that, basically, to take a custom component and make that editable. We could do the same for this text area here, so we could make all of this text editable, but we can go one step further, because the power of Elements is we can allow you to drop in any other elements inside of this custom component. So the way to do that, we could, let's not get rid of it just yet. What we'll do is we'll put a div in here. Actually, we don't even need a div. We can just do an @dropzone, and we'll call this content. And you can see here, we now get this drop zone in here. So this allows us to just drop in any text, any component, sorry, that we want. So we can drop some text into here. That gets added. We've now got all of these standard Elements controls available to us on this text. So like you can see here, we can change the size, make that a bit smaller. We could add some margin above there. Maybe we want something like this. We can change the color, the fonts, we can make it aligned. You get all of the controls that you're used to in Elements inside of a custom component. Okay, so really this is so powerful. There's no other app allowing you to do stuff like this. Obviously we can just double click into here, remove some of that text, change it, style it however we want to, make something bold, italic, you name it, you can do it in Elements. Okay, so we're not limited to just one component in here either. We can actually drop in additional components if we wanted to. So you could add a button, you could remove this button, for example, and add the standard button in here. Whoops, let's put that below so you can see like this. Then we could start styling this button. Let's change the spacing. 0 padding. We'll add a bit of margin up the top. Whoops, like so. We could change the borders like this. Let's go with something quite rounded just to show you the effect. Obviously, you're probably used to this if you've been following along with Elements, but yeah, you can just change the color. We can make this go to blue, or you can pick from any of the standard colors here. You can customize all of these as well, obviously. Double click into here, call this Start Now. Same again, you can change all of the font sizing. We can make this a bit smaller to kind of match. Maybe you decide you want the you don't want any borders on this, so we can remove those. Sorry, border radiuses, we can remove that there. And yeah, now we have a completely custom button. We could at that point get rid of this if we wanted to. And we've now got a fully customizable custom component here where not only can we just edit the text straight up, you can also allow the consumer or the user of this component to drop in their own components. So you can mix and match here. If you're designing something for a client and you only want them to edit the text, for example, like you don't want them to be able to remove the button and things like that, you can use like inline text directives like this. Or you can make this whole content area really flexible for them and use a drop zone, and they can put in any component they want, including other custom components. And just to demonstrate that, we could just drop like the custom Google Map in there. So at this point, the Google Map would be added into this area. We won't do that for now. Let's preview this, make sure everything's still working, and it is very nice. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how could we customize things like the image and a couple of other styling controls if I manage to have enough time. So yeah, let's have a look. How do we control the image for this custom component? So as you might have noticed, when you click on one of the core components that are shipped with Elements, you get all of these controls here. These are available inside of custom components as well. You just need to open up the sidebar here. You can go to properties, and this is where you can define these custom styling properties or styling controls for Elements. So if we hop over to the documentation, you go to Elements language here, and you come down, you'll find properties, and then you'll find UI controls. So we've got documentation for all the different types of UI controls that are available. In this case, we want a resource. So we can copy the example here. We can paste that straight into Elements. And let's just format this slightly so we can see what we're doing. You can see here we've added a groups array. So this is slightly technical, but again, if you're wanting to follow along, refer to the documentation here, or drop me a comment down below if you get stuck. Anyway, we've got a resources example here, so we could change this name to image, like so. Then we're using properties inside of this group. We have a title of resource. Let's call this image. We'll call this image, and the type of control we want is a resource. So we can drop in any of our resources into here. Okay, now the key thing to remember is the ID for this control. We're going to need that in just a minute in the template. So the first thing we want to do is let's find an image, gym photos. I don't know, I'll just choose this one. We drop that in there. Okay, how do we get that image to be used here? Right, we need to go to our template. And let's find the image. So we have, let's just indent this so we can see what we're working with. We'll go like so, and we'll just move that down. So the way this has been built up is they've placed a background image into here, and they're using a URL. So all we need to do is update this unsplash URL. We'll remove that like so. And now we need to use a template tag in Elements. And we need to remember the ID of the resource, and that was image. So we took two curly brackets, open and closed, and we just say image like so. Elements will do the rest for you. It will pump through the path to that resource and give you the image in the browser. So if we preview that and we scroll down, there we can see we've now got that custom image in there. Okay, now just to demonstrate that further, we can change that to any image we want inside of Elements. So we just drop our resources in and that instantly gets updated. So you can really see how this makes a custom component really customizable. Okay, a couple of other things I wanted to just to show you, just to demonstrate how easy this is to work with. Like I said, not only can you drop other custom components in here, you can put this custom component anywhere on your site. So if, for example, we wanted it inside of here, instead like on this dark background, we can very simply drop our custom component into here. Okay. Now we might want to put it actually inside of the container. Let's have a look. Actually, oh, we're in a grid. Sorry, my bad. We probably want to put that outside of the grid. Yeah, like so. Okay. Now, again, what you'll want to do is, on occasion, there'll be some coded or hard-coded Tailwind classes in your custom component, and that's going to set things like a background. Okay, so this is setting a background of gray 100. We can remove that, and that will obviously remove the background color. We can also remove the padding if we wanted to, and things like that. But I'm gonna leave that like that for now. And what I'm going to do is actually show you how to customize things like the background color. Yeah. So let's go back over to the Elements documentation. And this time we want to use a color control. So I'm going to take the control example here. I'm going to put that into my properties. So I've already got this group of image, and that comes up here. What we can do is add another group if we want to. So I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to call this background. You can change the icon if you want. We'll leave it for now. And what we want is to paste in that resource that I just copied. Okay, let's format that so it looks good. Now you can see instantly we've got a color control here for our custom element. Now you can use this color control as many times as you want on any of the classes inside of Elements. The key thing to note on the color control is you can set a format. You can actually set format on pretty much all of the UI controls, but especially for color, you're going to want to set the format. The default here that we copied over is to set the text color. What we actually want to do is set the background color. So we use BG hyphen and then the value that comes from the control. We've set a default to blue 600, and I'm going to update the ID just to be BG color. Okay, so we need that BG color class there. We'll go back to our template, and in here, I'm going to remove all of the color classes for the background. You'll see that gets removed there. I'm going to paste in our background color ID. So we use the two curly braces for the opening of the ID, the name of the control or the ID of the control, and then close it off. And you will have seen that that updates instantly there. And that allows us to, excuse me, change the color to whatever we want. You can see here, everything live updates, instantly works. We can put this back outside of there. You can see we can match up, we can make things lighter, darker, put it wherever you want on your site. One thing to note is these components work exactly the same as the core components that ship in Elements. So if I drag another copy of this on, and what I'm going to do actually is rename this. So when you've got the editor open, you can rename this. Let's just call this custom CTA. You'll see that that gets updated there, so we know what we're working with. And let's say we wanted another one of those just in here. You'll see the content that we've set on here does not get carried over to here. These are unique instances of this custom component. So what you can do here is you can just drop in a different a different image from your resources into here, you can say get started with elements. You can type in your text there, and you've got the drop zone there to customize it. So yeah, let's say again we just want some text and a button, so we drop those in there. We could style those up to be similar to this if we wanted to. You know, we can change the background color here, and you'll see all of these are unique. Let me just move that up so we can compare the two. So you can see here we've got the same custom component, but with individual content for each instance. Now, if you know that you are going to use basically the same content every time you use this custom component, what you can do is you can choose one of the instances and you can convert that to a global. Okay, so we'll do that, and you'll see that that will now get added to our globals down here. What this does is every time I put this global onto the page, it will use by default the same content as the global. So let's get rid of the original. That doesn't delete the custom component from our list here. That's still available to us. We can still drop on a fresh instance if we want to. But here you'll see this has turned green. So this is now global. This has been linked across the site. So if I drop in another custom CTA global, you'll see they look exactly the same. Now, if I change this to get started with elements, you can see everything getting live updated across all of the instances of this component. So if we fix, for example, the spacing here, because this was broken, and we add a bit of margin on the top, like so, you can see they're both getting updated. So we can say sign up, both of those are updated. Yeah. However, what might be the case is that some of this data is linked, but you want to change, say, the image for each individual instance of this component. So what we can do is we click on our custom component, we go to our image, you'll see that the resource control has this link icon. So this tells you that these pieces of content or data are linked to our global. If we want to unlink that and make this image unique, we can simply click the icon there. You'll see that turns into a broken link icon, and we can now change the image to whatever we want it to be. So again, we can still edit this text. Let's say we wanted getting started with elements. We can change this text in here. We don't want quite as much. We've realized we need a bit of margin on the top here, so we add that to the text. We think, oh, that's too much. You can see all of these things are linked, but you can individually override pieces of global data. So I really hope you're seeing the power of this. We have created a custom component from some Tailwind code we found online, made it editable inside of elements, allowed the user to style and control pieces of content like images, like colors, directly on this custom component, okay? Now, I really don't think there's any other Mac app out there that's allowing the amount of flexibility, customization, and just sheer power of designing with a WYSIWYG editor. There's no other app that's letting you do this. Elements is so powerful, it's so easy to use, and I really hope you can see the joy and the flexibility that you get with things like custom components. Do have a go with custom components. Try it out. If you get stuck with anything, drop me a comment down below. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And as I say, I can't wait to see what you start building with custom components in Elements.